Hi everybody, Russell Gurule here with you guys, and this is the New Mexico is a Basketball State podcast. We're going to talk about everything basketball, high school, pros, college, everything. So stay tuned for my thoughts, things that are happening, things that will happen. We make predictions here, okay? Stay tuned. Everybody, now we're back, episode 2. Yeah, I'm glad you watched episode 1. I think everything went really well. I'm glad you're back. So we're going to talk a little bit about the state tournament, the COVID restrictions and things like that to begin with, because it looks like we're going to have some crowds in the stands, and it's going to be dependent on the color-coded system by the state government, depending on which site has the okay and which site doesn't. So we're going to be seeing that a little bit. So please check with the nmact.org, that's New Mexico Activities Association, for times, schedules, and if fans are allowed or not. So that's the main thing right there. And Bernalillo County is open to an extent, about 25% capacity for events. So on May 8th, when the state championship title game is going to be played at the pit, all of them, matter of fact, on Saturday, that should be open to the public to a certain degree. Now, it could change from now till then, so we'll find out more later. So that's why I urge you to check with the nmact.org, that's New Mexico Activities Association, to find out exactly what times, dates, and whether fans are allowed in or not on that issue right there. It also, on various sites, say if you're in Los Lunas, I believe you cannot have fans right now in Valencia County because of this color-coded system that we're under right now, but you can in Bernalillo County. And I also believe that you can have fans in Sandoval County. Somebody will have to correct me on that. But again, this is fluid and it's ever changing. So please check with the Activities Association on that aspect. So that's a positive sign that we're getting back to normal, and that's a good thing. The next step is getting full capacity. That would be great if we could do that on Saturday. If we could get a pit at least half capacity, that would be a couple thousand fans. That would be wonderful. I'm crossing my fingers on that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. And again, write some letters, make some phone calls. Let's see if we can make that happen. It's a possibility. I don't see why not. Other states are open. Major League Baseball in Texas has had full crowds, much bigger than the pit. And Florida's open. All these places are open, and they are having events and things of that nature. So I think it's a possibility. Maybe you should write some letters, make some phone calls, talk to your representatives, see about making that happen. That's just one thing to think about. So it is a positive that we're going to have a state champion this year. It looked like we weren't, but we are almost there to the title game, and this is exciting. So stay tuned for the next take, and we're going to talk about the brackets, the 4A and the 5A, and who's going to win. Be sure to look out for the article coming out soon about my picks on who is going to win the state tournament. All right? All right, everybody. Now the state tournament is finally here. We are finally going to play for a state championship. May 4th, the 6th, and the 8th, we're going to have quarterfinal, semifinal, and state title games that are going to be played at the pit. So this is very exciting. So I'm going to go over the brackets here of 5A and 4A. And basically, we've got a lot of good matchups here. The at-large berths have happened. They've finally determined those out through the criteria. I won't even get into all of that. That's discussion for another day. Some teams were left out. Some were able to get in because of the criteria. It is what it is. This year, we're only going to have 8 seeds instead of 16 seeds. So there's not going to be a first round. So there's not going to be any first round jitters. Yeah, it's going to have to be played at 100%. You're going to have to play at a high level because you're not going to be afforded any jitters at all in this tournament, because every game is really, really going to count. Usually in the past, you could play in the first round, have a few jitters in the first half, and then get going and then get into the rhythm of a one and done tournament. This year, you can't have jitters because it's going to be over just like that. It's going to be that tight and that close because we got a smaller field and less games to play. So with that being said, let's get into it a little bit here. Not even going to worry about seeding either, because let's face it, you got to play. You got to win. Either way, no matter who you play, you got to win. That's just how it is. Some teams were left out that were pretty good. And then there were some teams that, frankly, didn't belong there. Let's be honest. When you lose about 40% of the games you play in a season, yeah, you probably shouldn't be in there. So I think the best teams are in the state tournament this year. Maybe 1 or 2 could have been in there, but it is what it is. So we're going to get started here with the 5A brackets. We have Cleveland at Cleveland High School going against Santa Fe. Now this one should be pretty interesting. Santa Fe is going to have to shoot well outside. They do have Cruz Martinez and Cody Garcia, and it seems like yesterday these guys were playing for a state title against Atrisco. I remember that well, fondly. And this is going to be their last go-around, so this should be interesting. They're going to play against Cleveland, a very big team, a team that wins a lot every year, one of the top programs. Could this be the year for Cleveland to finally win a state title? They've been so close so many times. They have Trey Watson, who's a beast, Nate Hasbury. College coaches should be looking at him soon. We should be hearing something, from college coaches about about Nate Hasbury. Then you have Evan Gonzalez, who's been very good as a point guard this year, and he adds outside scoring for the Storm of Cleveland. And this game's going to be played at Cleveland, and this will be at 7 p.m. May 4th. In Rio Rancho. Check the NMACT again. Like I said earlier in the intro, check that for in case anything is subject to change, because we are under a color-coded system. So I expect Cleveland to go to the semifinals on this one. I expect them to get by Santa Fe, but it could be a close game. Paul Lovato is another one for Santa Fe that's going to be integral for this team, for the Santa Fe Demons. So we'll see what happens there with that game. But I'm expecting and picking Cleveland to go on to the semifinals for that. Now our next bracket is Sandia against Atrisco, playing at Atrisco High School, May 4th, and that'll be a 6 o'clock game. This one I think is going to be epic. This might be a classic right here. These are two very athletic teams. Sandia has Sean Johnson. They have Sean Gilbert, Eli Lovato, Dylan Moyer, excuse me. And they can shoot outside. They run the fast break and they play defense. And so they could do some damage in this tournament for sure. And they can definitely knock off Atrisco. Atrisco, on the other hand, has Isaiah Brooks. I almost called him Isaac. Isaiah Brooks, who's already had a state title back when they played Santa Fe. So this is another chance for him to go out with a bang. And they have Chris Parra, Kobe Wade, Malachi Crawford, and Javier Mendoza, and Tony Pacheco. So they have about 6 players there that can really light it up. They have a lot of talent on the inside and the outside. They can shoot outside, and most notably, they're known for defense. And so I'm going to pick them to get by Sandia, but I think it's going to be close. I think he can go into overtime, and I think this one could be a heartbreaker for whoever loses, because it's going to be a real tight one. So I'm expecting Atrisco to meet up with Cleveland, and that's kind of a pick 'em game. Okay, the last time they played, I believe, if I remember correctly, somebody will correct me, I'm sure, Trisco beat Cleveland by about 1 point or so on that one. So I'm thinking Trisco can pull it off again. Okay, I'm expecting Trisco to pull it off against Cleveland because I think they have the talent to match with Cleveland, and I think that they can do what they need to do efficiently to get past Cleveland. But it will be a very, very close game. Sandia and Cleveland can bust up my bracket on this side for sure, because I'm picking Trisco to get to the state title game. And I'll tell you who I'm going to pick on the state title game. That should be a good one. So we're going to move on to the next bracket. So Las Cruces is going to play in Las Cruces against Los Lunas. Now Los Lunas just moved up to 5A from 4A. So they moved on up to the east side, and now they got to play Las Cruces in the state tournament. So this ought to be really interesting. Los Lunas is really well known for its structured offense, and they're able to control the game, but they're going up against William Deuce Benjamin and Isaiah Carr. And Caden Shelf, Dustin Hicks, they're going up against a very, very tough team, Los Lunas is. And I don't think they're going to have enough to do it. I think Las Cruces, who's been very dominant, is going to move on to the semifinal on this one. So I'm picking Las Cruces for sure on this one. And we'll see who they're going to play in the next bracket. So we got Carlsbad and Roswell. Carlsbad and Roswell is an interesting one. This could be a pick'em when you really think about it. But Carlsbad has beaten Roswell by double digits during the season. So I'm going to go with Carlsbad on this. I haven't seen neither one of them play. Roswell does have Taman Barola, who's been playing very well, averaging 20 points for Roswell. And he could be a deciding factor, but I think Carlsbad could pull it off. Carlsbad's the number 7 seed, and Roswell's the number 2 seed, so it would be considered an upset. So I think, though, that Carlsbad could pull it off, but then again, I could be wrong on that. So I'm thinking Carlsbad to play Las Cruces in the semifinal. So that would be very interesting. Now, I think Carlsbad would probably go down to Las Cruces in the semifinal. And so, therefore, I'm seeing Trisco and Las Cruces playing for the state title May 8th in the pit. Now, for this one, I think this is going to be a very, very close game because they match up well. They both have size. They both have speed. They both have outside shooting. I think Trisco might have a little bit more. And I think the defense is going to be really intense. So every possession is going to count. But I'm going to go for the upset. Okay? Most people would logically pick Las Cruces, and they probably should. But I'm going to go for the upset because I'm gambling in this tournament for sure. Because it's such a short season. We haven't seen enough of these players and these teams over basically a 10-game season. So I'm going to pick Trisco for the upset for the state title in 5A. So that might upset some people, but it is what it is. That's why we fill out these brackets and we make predictions. And that's what we do here. We make predictions. So let me scoot up here a little bit. We're going to go to the 4A bracket now. And this one is pretty interesting because we have a lot of good records here. The first bracket, we have Del Norte against Highland. This is a classic. These are two former District 6 rivals. And with this one, I think is going to be very close. I believe Jose Murillo may or may not play, but either way, I'm going to go with Del Norte on this one. And this one's going to be played at Del Norte High School at 7 o'clock on May 4th. By the way, all 5A, all 4A games are going to be played on May 4th, and now there'll be different times. So check nmact.org for time, schedules, and sites. So I'm going to pick Del Norte because they've got great guard play in Shane Doma Sanchez and Judah Casas. And they got Feathers Valencia, who's been really, really solid as a forward for them. And I think those are the difference makers right there. And they seem like a real steady ball club. Highland is strong with Alex Dominguez, and they have a lot of nice talent, but I think they're not quite ready yet for this. And I think Del Norte is hungry, and they look hungry. And so I'm picking Del Norte to go to the semifinals on May 6th. So let's go to this next bracket. Here we have Kirtland Central, which is up in northern New Mexico, up there by the Four Corners area. And they're going to play Espanola Valley. And this one, both these teams have done really well this season. They haven't lost. They've lost maybe 1 or 2 games apiece. I have to go look at the records again. I have them all listed, but I don't have it off the top of my head. But I can see Kirtland Central pulling off the upset against Espanola Valley. Kirtland Central is the number 5 seed, and Espanola Valley is the number 4 seed. So I can see Kirtland Central doing it. It's kind of a pick-em game, really. They both have had fairly good schedules. Kirtland Central has a nice win against Gallup, who's also in the tournament. But I see Kirtland Central going to the semifinals against Del Norte. There in the semifinals, I'm going to pick Del Norte over Kirtland Central because, like I said, I think they're hungry, and I think they're the team to beat. And I think Del Norte is going to be in the state title game. So I'm picking Del Norte over Kirtland Central in the semifinals to get to the state title game, May 8th at the Pit. So we're going to go up to the next bracket. Remember, there's only 4 games here instead of your customary 8 in a normal year. So our next bracket is Gallup against Bernalillo. Okay? It's playing, this game's going to be played at Gallup at 7 p.m., and Gallup is taking on Bernalillo, and they both have really good records. And Bernalillo has been hot this year, been on fire. And with this one, it's another toss-up. But Bernalillo seems to have that kind of rhythm going. And I'm going to pick them to go to the semifinals. So I'm picking Bernalillo over Gallup on this one. And again, it's a gamble. It's a gamble. It could happen either way. Gallup could bust my bracket really quick. They've always been a strong team. Now we're going to go to the next bracket, Silver and Artesia. Here, Artesia has been, excuse me, losing my voice here. Artesia has been pretty strong with their record, and they've played some 5A schools, and they've beaten Clovis this year, and that's impressive. And that I see Artesia pulling off against Silver, and they're going to go ahead to the semifinals. And I see them playing Bernalillo. Now we'll go to the semifinals on that one. Bernalillo against Artesia. Now I see Bernalillo overcoming Artesia on this one. I'm thinking Bernalillo is just as hungry as Del Norte. And I'm thinking these two are going to meet up in the state title game. So, the state title game, I'm seeing Del Norte against Bernalillo. And I'm going to pick Del Norte over Bernalillo. I think it's going to be a really close game. And I think it's going to be a real exciting one. But I think Del Norte has all the size, the speed to make it happen. So, I'm going to pick Del Norte to be the 4A champion. And then in 5A, I'm going to pick Atrisco to be for the upset to be the 5A state title champion. So we're going to find out if I'm right or not. But there's several things that could happen. Sandia could bust my bracket in 5A, and so could Cleveland for sure. And you never know with like Carlsbad or Roswell or somebody like that who turns into a Cinderella. And in 4A, Gallup this could be the year. Who knows? Espanola Valley could surprise also. So that's what I'm looking at right now. Enchantment Sports will be coming out with that article, and it'll break down the records, the places, the sites, and it'll break down the picks, and you'll get to see all of that. I believe that's coming out tomorrow or today whenever I post this podcast. So that should be exciting, and we're going to see what happens May 4th on Tuesday. So we'll just call it Super Tuesday, and we're going to enjoy the action. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. we'll do another one of these podcasts. I'll do one anyways in a couple days, and we might talk about the title game and see how this all played out. And I hope you guys all show up if the fans are allowed in, which I believe they will be. And I hope we have a great tournament, because we almost didn't have one. We almost didn't have a season. So let's enjoy it. We're getting closer to getting back to normal. And I'm excited, and I hope you guys are too. So we'll see you on the next one. Have a great night.